So we got to talk about what's going on in the markets today, as it's really ugly out there. And these are your headlines from Bloomberg. Wall Street's favorite trades collapse as the market sell-off deepens. And let me show you this chart. It shows various asset classes. You got software stocks, Bitcoin, silver, gold, right? All of these are down. Silver's down roughly 35, 40%. Bitcoin's down roughly 30% and still crashing. I think it was like 13% down in one day. You have software stocks now down nearly 20%, and you got gold down over 10%, right? A lot of things are crashing. People are saying here, the fear of uncertainty across the market is evident. Another person says people are definitely going more defensive. It's more of like a shoot first and ask questions later type of environment, right? Just get me out of the market. And some of it is for selling also. When you check on what the Trump people are up to, this is Trump, he's hanging out with a bunch of young girls. Seriously, during all of this Epstein things flying around about him and his associates, this is what he's up to today. White House. From day one, President Trump has prioritized girls and women. This is really what he's doing. In sports, fairness, safety, and keeping biological men out of women's sports are crucially important to this administration. And so basically, while the economy is melting down, while people are getting fired, and I told you guys before in the last video, it's like the most job cuts since 2009 for a January, which is pretty bad. And unemployment's going up, and there's not that many job openings. He's like hanging out with girls, national girls and women in sports day. That's Trump's plan. And if that's not enough, they'll do this every now and then when something really bad's happened in the market, it's time to pray. From the White House, to be a great nation, you have to have religion. You have to have faith. You have to have God. That's their plan. Hang out with young girls and have faith. All right, let me show you guys some numbers on this stuff. This is from Amazon today. They reported their earnings. Amazon shares sink as company boosts AI spending by nearly 60%. So basically, they're going to spend more on AI. And all these tech companies are saying, guys, I know things are ugly with jobs, and I know things are worried, but hey, we're going to accelerate that with AI. We're all going to get rich, right? And let me just give you a general idea of how to understand this stuff. Net profit for the period, we're talking about the quarter, is $21.2 billion, okay? So let's say you have an average quarter, and let's say it's 21.2. You multiply that times 4, you end up around 80 billion, something like that, okay? So that's how much they make in a year in terms of their net profit. This is what they want to spend, Amazon. The company said it expected to make capital expenditures of $200 billion in 2026, up 56% over last year as the company accelerates spending in artificial intelligence products. Like just think how crazy this is. And this is why the stock's going down. You're like, wait, you're telling me that you're going to like take the profit and essentially double that amount into spend? Is that your plan? And then it says the company is increasing artificial intelligence related spending while cutting costs. So cut when you can, and firing people, laying off another 16,000 staffers and closing underperforming businesses. And I think some of their grocery store things were part of that. But that's why people are concerned on this, right? You have to look at the numbers in context. Like, okay, 200 billion spent in 2026. Well, how much do you make? Oh, you're spending more than you make. that's not a great. In fact, double than what you make. Great. And then you've got other companies that they're going a little bit different route here. They're cutting back in some of the AI stuff. This just came out a few minutes ago. Apple is scaling back plans for new AI-based health coach service. And what these companies have to do is, in terms of Apple, they have to always convince you to buy that new phone. I think they're almost all over $1,000 these days, and the rumors on the next one's going to be over $2,000. I think they're doing foldy phone is their plan. They were trying to get us through the door with this AI coach thing, but maybe that's going to cost too much.
Let's talk about the short term for a second here. I know there's some longer term stories here that probably do suggest there are more gains potentially in store for this market. What's actually happening this week? What do you make of it?
Well, so here's the thing that we shouldn't forget. AI is really the fourth industrial revolution. And what we're seeing now is an assessment of, okay, given some of the potential disruption that we could see, let's take some money off the table before we figure out who the real winners are. Because think about what's happened over the last, call it, 20 years or so. You've seen disruption with .com, you've seen disruption with streaming for media companies, and the companies that don't make it, they fall off really, really quickly. And I think that's what you're starting to see, some of that almost more of a healthy skepticism creeping in.
And there is some
healthy skepticism creeping in. And for those of you who remember, right, she mentioned the .com. It is true. There is disruption in this stuff. And I always have to make this really clear. I'm not against technology. I'm not against new ideas. I'm not against, change in the market. It happens, right? These things happen. But you have to understand when you're in a bubble, and there's not going to be everyone winning, right? There'll be a few winners of this stuff, but there'll be a lot of really big losers, and they'll just disappear. We saw it before and in the past, and you're seeing it right now.
I'm just curious to get your thoughts on some of the software companies. We were just talking with the CEO of Atlassian, and you mentioned Jensen Huang. He actually defended some of these software companies, saying that this sell-off was kind of overblown. The disruption that investors seem to be trying to suss out isn't quite there here. Do they have a place, those kind of smaller, I don't call them second tier, but you know what I mean, those smaller companies in this AI race?
Look, I can tell you, in 25 years, this structural sell-off in software is unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm just saying in terms of the structural sell-off. If you look at Salesforce.com here, you have to assume that they're not just take the street numbers. You have to assume that they're actually declining the next few years. You have to assume with some of these companies, the ServiceNow, that they're losing 2-5% of their customer base based on these valuations. The point is AI a headwind to software? Yeah, now. But to say that software doesn't have a place, I'd say almost front and center in terms of the use cases. Palantir has been a perfect example. What we're seeing, I think we'll see with Snowflake and MongoDB and others. I think right now this is, it's really unlike anything I've seen. That's why I say ServiceNow, you look at Salesforce, you look at Oracle, Microsoft.
So just so you understand how the game is played, they have to acknowledge that the numbers are crashing. We all see it. But then they're going to say, well, things are bad. However, we know the best picks, right? We know the best ones. And I'll just say this, guys, be always very, very careful with these kind of people, because basically they're talking book. If they've got money in something and they need someone to sell it to, they'll say, hey, you should look at that one while they're selling. That's what it ends up being. And Anthropic, they keep coming out with new things. This is spooking the market. And will they end up being one of the winners? They're going to go IPO this year. Anthropic, OpenAI, and SpaceX, those are kind of your big IPOs, but we're doing it in the middle of a bubble, basically, as the bubble is crashing, and they're trying to grab money before that well dries up. Anthropic launches new Claude model as AI fears rattles the markets. Okay, what's going on here? Anthropic has launched a powerful new AI model aimed at businesses, pressing its advantage. And it's interesting because we don't talk that much about Anthropic compared to the other companies. And the main reason they were saying here basically is that they're more focused on enterprise, B2B kind of stuff. It says, quote, we are the leader in enterprise market, and we want to be the ones building real live agents for enterprise. Okay. The model's launch comes after Anthropic's AI tools fueled a sell-off this week on fears they are upending traditional software development, potentially disrupting sectors from publishing and advertising to law. And that's been the question that we've been talking about is, okay, so which companies are going to be hit the most, which industries are going to hit the most, and that's what you're seeing. And some people are like, you know what, I'm just getting out, I'm going to wait it out. And it's interesting too, because you also have this one, prediction market, Kalshi seeks U.S. approval to offer margin trades. I keep hearing that people are moving out of the crypto space, out of the Bitcoin stuff and things like that, and going more to this. This is the more the sexy, hot thing right now is betting on, the weather or sports or, politics, whatever. Like, how long will the government shutdown be? Will it be over 30 days, under 30 days, like this kind of stuff? And what they're trying to do here right now is basically make it so that you can borrow money to bet even more. That's what it is. And I'm sure that then you're going to try to grease certain politicians to get that approved. And this kind of stuff we've talked about before several times on the channel. If you follow my coverage of FTX, it was the same kind of thing. They need the regulatory approval to make sure that not only can they get more users trading on it, but get more users borrowing to trade on it to amplify both losses and gains. So do be careful out there. That's what's going on at the moment. This is also an interesting one, Polymarket, which is one of those kind of companies. This is from Fox News. It says, food jackpot. Polymarket is stepping into New York City's food scene, in if only briefly. Okay, what are we doing? With the launch of what's called the city's first ever free grocery, which will be fully stocked and requires no purchase. Betting company Polymarket to open first free grocery store in Manhattan. This is what a bubble looks like. Now, I'm not against food banks. I'm not against food. I want to make sure that's clear. I think it's good that, You give people food. So that's a positive thing. But how long is this sustainable, right? I mean, does this sound like a sustainable thing that they can do? Betting company Polymarket to open first free grocery store in Manhattan. And it's kind of funny. I was looking at some of the comments. I don't necessarily think it's going to last. I think other people can see it too, because it's like nothing's for free. You guys know this stuff. Wow, that sounds like a deliciously intriguing experiment. Someone writes. Another person writes, free food is never free. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally agree. Another person writes, free groceries aren't a flex. They're a failure signal. Could be. Another way of saying food bank, good way to go broke. Another person, if they put streaming cameras in there so we can all watch how this goes in real time, that would be a great reality show. Another person writes, that stuff will be gone in seconds. LMAO. Call me cynical, but that's bait. OMG, please live stream this place. Polymarket's initiative helps those in economic hardship and is an innovative marketing strategy. Yeah, I agree. It's a marketing strategy. Just opens up for more fraud. You know, if you guys ever watch like Walmart on, Christmas Eve, that kind of stuff, or, when they have like some doorbuster sale kind of thing, I think it could be like that in this environment where people are struggling with jobs and food's really, really expensive and they're claiming they're going to give free fruit away. Yeah, I guess we need to live stream that. And if they do, I'll let you know. But I just don't think this is sustainable. And I think this kind of thing is a good representation of where we're at.
In 1776, history changed forever when our founders proclaimed the immortal truths that echoed around the world and down all the way through time. They declared that all of us are made free and equal by the hand of our Creator. A lot of presidents refuse to say that. They refuse to say that. Some refuse. Some major politicians refuse to say the word God. They don't want to say it. I say it. That we are endowed with our sacred rights to life, liberty, and not by government, but by God Almighty Himself. And those words rang out from Philadelphia and launched a revolution, not just in America, but in the hearts of all humanity.
So that's coming from Trump and the White House at the prayer breakfast. And the reason why I'm showing you this is, to me, it's obvious. He just reads stuff. And then you can always see the difference between him reading and then him actually talking. It's clear. And he looks bored. He's talking about God. Okay, do I got to read this stuff? Someone said, they'll give me a bunch of campaign donations if I read this stuff. Okay, I believe in God and Creator. And not many people say that, but I'll say it. It's like, what are you talking about? This is why things are so whacked out, right? You have just a complete disconnect from the political leadership, right? The Trump or lack thereof, however you want to call it, and how people are feeling on the ground. And, if you look at what they're up to today, I guess we're doing some sort of new thing with Putin. The treaty limiting U.S. and Russian nuclear arms expired. What to know? Okay, there's Trumper with Mr. Putin there. Then he says here, modernized nuclear treaty. Okay, the United States is the most powerful country in the world, right? I completely rebuilt the military for my first term. Really? I also added Space Force. Okay. And we're even adding battleships, which are 100 times more powerful than the ones that roamed the seas during World War II. Huh. And you wonder why things are like so crazy that they are. He bored when he gives speeches. He just talks about building battleships as if we need these things at all. And then he takes pictures with Putin. And I showed you guys this before, but this is just make sure to put it all in context. This is what he's up to. He's hanging up pictures in the White House. These are actual photos from the White House. And that the top one is with him and Putin, right? Him and Putin, you can see it right there. And then I guess the one on the bottom is him and his grandkid. So that's what he's concerned about. Just taking care of his own. That's the easiest way to describe it. While the markets are meltdown, and then people on Bloomberg and such have to tell you how everything's great and trust me, bro. I just try to tell you guys the truth of what's going on and to always tell you just be careful out there. And I want to hear your thoughts on any one of these stories. And I'll catch you all in the next video.